welcome back to the podcast. And yet another day of me going through the self-improvement subreddit and seeing what people are saying, seeing what problems the people are having, and maybe being able to solve them. Let's see, I think there is quite an important message there because it is pinned by the moderators. So we are just going to check that out. It is called On Suicidal Users. Our user base has been extremely kind and gracious to these users, and I do think the kindness of this community has saved some lives. I do also really believe in that. I believe also in social media as bad as it gets portrayed so often. I think when one can find a useful community or useful help online, it can really change one's life, and it can also really make one's life way better by, finding those friends that you're not having in quote unquote real life or in the physical world, and so on and so forth. I think therefore, just in general, being like, okay, social media is so bad and blah blah blah, yada yada yada, I think this is not really the truth. I really don't think so. However, I have been dealing with suicidal users for about 6 years on the site, and it has gotten to the point that I feel like we need some guidelines for these threats, I guess. I'm going to start with a few things I have learned from experience, but I welcome feedback and anything the community can think of that also, or can also, become a guideline. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to suicide. If anything, robotic answers and cookie-cutter plan would convince a suicidal person that you don't actually. That's quite the case. You aren't going to logic someone out of a mindset they didn't logic themselves into. Suicide inherently idiosyncratic, and if you ask why or try to argue with them on the specifics, they're just going to repeat and reinforce the things that make them suicidal in the first place. You just hearing about this for the first time cannot compete with them having repeated these things and thought about them every day for months. They will have an answer for every question and question, every bit of logic, almost anything you can say. The answers won't necessarily be logically sound, but they will be very real to the person at the center of it all. It is like a court case. You're the defense and they're the prosecution, and you didn't even know you were a lawyer. There is a defense. I have never run into any suicidal person that actually deserves to die or had such a bad life as to give up on it, but you're not as prepared to find it as they are to argue against it. TLDR, don't engage with them in an adversarial fashion. People are coming to the internet because they are nervous about talking about this in real life. So being like, just, talk to somebody, just get therapy and whatnot. I would believe and I would say that most people that are having to deal with such shit have thought about all of this. And it is definitely not about them not thinking about it. Sometimes it is just always about resources. Very often, indeed, it is about resources, and very often it is about anxiety as well. Many things that I possibly can't think of, maybe, and you possibly can't think of, maybe as well. So certain suggestions and certain thoughts and certain pieces of advice are just inherently unuseful. Telling them to find a real-life resource is a good idea in some situations, but in others, telling them to find a trusted friend, adult, doctor, teacher, or therapist, etc. will backfire because they cannot bring themselves to talk face-to-face with someone. However, in these cases, finding them resources to licensed professionals they can deal with through a phone call or a chat line is something they'd be interested in, as long as it has no chance of intersecting with their real lives. I would say as well that there are fortunately many resources and many systems and platforms that can that do, I think, psychotherapy. I would have to Google that really quickly. If there's something via chat, because a lot of people, I guess, would do that. Online therapist chat, you deserve to be happy. Sometimes there is also free things. I guess that there is an episode I have done before. There is actually something, best free online therapy chats of 2022. best 3 online therapy chat platforms. There we have eTherapy Pro, best overall. I cannot now best for a free assessment, best for peer support, best overall. I do quickly want to check that out because I want to see if this is indeed, first of all, free, and second of all, useful. Even though I cannot really accept insurance, no therapist and staff not mentioned, point live chat, live video and phone calls. Well, $30 per live session, 100 for 4 live sessions, and 40 per month for unlimited counseling, whatever this might mean, if this is just in terms of the chat. I do think, therefore, free and always will be free online counseling chat 24/7, connect with sympathetic community members. So apparently there is a free chat if that is needed on free online therapy for free assessments. Am I just going through? Oh, I see now. I'm sorry. This is not the website of them. Why do I thought, I'm sorry, I don't know. Your guide to happiness, resources, FAQ. Let's have a look. Start therapy. How it works. Complete our online questionnaire. Your counselor will select you, talk with messages, voice and video. How can I learn to manage my social anxiety? Start therapy. What if I just press that button? Then I have to go through the questionnaire. Maybe there's something in the FAQ, probably. But at this point, I guess it could be free. Well, I don't know. But apparently there are certain resources that are at least, I would believe, low cost. Problem I would assume is always to ensure the quality of such services. There is also a free chat 24/7. Be heard by volunteer listeners and chat with others who understand in support chat rooms. Yes, and many more platforms, which is great. Really great that volunteers are actually doing that people decide that they want to spend their time helping other people. Oops. People are coming to the internet. This is considerably darker than the other ones, but if the person does fall into deeper despair and takes their own life, it is not your fault. The metaphor I like to use is there is someone who got into a car accident and ended up stuck in a car on a railroad crossing, and you see a train coming from half a mile away. You rush to the car and try to get the person who is hurt and finds it hard to move out of the car before the train hits it. If you get them out of the car and to safety, you still need to let professionals see the wounds. You're not going to solve the entire problem, just the one super dangerous part. If you don't get to the car in time and they get hit, it is not your fault, it is not their fault, it is not the train driver's fault. I have seen several Reddit mods over the years develop their own serious mental health problems because of the suicidal users we have to deal with. And I would certainly also believe in that. I would also like to compile a list of suicide help and chat/phone call resources that we could send to people if the situation is appropriate. I also need a list of things I should exclude from the automat filters filtering out links. 988 US National Suicide Hotline notes this number is potentially going to cause a police and EMT response, which might be traumatic for someone who lives with family or otherwise would be traumatized. Conversely, 988 is not exclusive to suicidal people themselves. It is also a resource for people who want help with friends. And then there is 988lifeline.org website for the same with more resources. Opencounseling.com/suicide to date suicide hotlines internationally. So there is a list indeed. Bridgestonetires.com, bizarre, which has helped me several times, but I'm still amazed with the tire companies running this. I did my Brightstone the last time I got tires. Let's see, list of organizations offering free counseling online. This is basically what I was searching for. National Center for Health, Mental Health Crisis Hotline. So there are many resources or many hotlines. There's also an email, provides online counseling and psychological first aid. I do hope that they are really free, that even the hotlines are free. Yes, period. I really do hope so. Hope so. So bridgestonetires.com.ph, which apparently stands for Philippines, and you're probably going to find it relatively easy. /list-of-organizations-offering-free-counseling-online if I do not put it into description, which might be the case and may also not be the case, depends. Get off Reddit. So let's see what the Redditeers are talking, saying, doing, and whatever. I feel like I'm wasting my precious time in my 20s because don't know what I want from life and myself. It feels as if I am living life just to pass another day by. As I look back, it's been 5 years I'm in the same position in life. How can I fix myself? So I'm 26 and I feel like I am realizing from inside that I'm losing and wasting my valuable time in my 20s. Now is the time to work on yourself, whether it is completing college or getting experience in your field, dating, exploring, and taking risks or challenges in life, learning to find your purpose in life, and so much more. I would say my take on that. People always being like, I am in my 20s, I am supposed to do X, Y, and Z. I don't really believe in that. I don't really believe that we're supposed to do anything at any point of time. We're having, I would say, approximately 70 to 100 years of lifespan at this point because of medicine, because of many, many great things. So are you really supposed to figure out your whole entire life by your 20s, by your 30s even? Not really. We're having so much time, and it would make sense to not rush that process and to experience many things and just try, which should not mean not trying to do so, to just see what you like doing, what you don't like doing, which type of people you hate, which type of people you really enjoy and like, and many more things. But we are not supposed to do that. We're just having so much time left. Why should I stress? Why should I rush that process, that very important process indeed? Let's see what people are saying. I see so many younger people than me taking risks in life, making money and building their network. I am an entrepreneur because I'm having it in my fucking Instagram bio. But indeed, I am living with my mom. I am not working. I am just taking their money. I feel as if I am in a similar position myself. I feel the same way at 23. What is funny is that I didn't realize until your very last sentence that you feel stuck. I'm gonna guess that you actually have unlimited freedom and you're not taking advantage of it. I am 20 years older than you and would give anything to feel stuck in my 20s. This is, I think, it is always hard to say and not very useful to say. Basically, my position is pretty much worse than yours is, because it is very subjective, and my subjective reality is always going to be the hardest. It is always going to be the most cruciating. It's always going to be the worst to be in. Being like, okay, those kids in Africa are having it way worse. This does not make anything better, because my subjective reality is my subjective reality. You're not alone. I have the same thoughts and feelings as many, 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 many more people as we can see here. But there is something interesting. You have only been an adult for 8 years. You have another 40 years to figure it out. Stop worrying. You have a lifetime. You're not dead at 30. There is life after your 20s. And I totally believe in that. What could one do? I think trying things out makes sense. Also Googling a lot, I guess. Reading many things. Just resources in general and inputs in general, whether this is people, whether this is videos, whether this is something. Of course, at some point you'll have to make some money because you have to provide for yourself, probably. But I guess this is something we all can figure out. Of course, might not be the best job we are then taking, might not be the coolest thing that we're doing, and so on and so forth. But, I wouldn't stress that process. And with that being said, probably going to end the episode here. Wish you the best and hopefully see you soon.